Hello, good afternoon or good evening. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharp. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments now so that I can answer your questions. It's so good to see you all here as you come in. Hello, it's nice to see you. Now, today I'm going to focus on questions about work permits, questions about green cards, questions about getting citizenship. So put your questions in the comments now so that I can answer your questions. Uh, so in the meantime, while I look for your questions on Instagram, on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok, I am going to tell you about the firm and how to get in touch with us should you have any immigration needs. So I'm the managing attorney at ST Law Office. We are a firm of multiple attorneys, and our attorneys here at ST Law Office and I work very closely to help immigrants to fix their status here if you've overstayed or even if you've come in without inspection, help immigrants to get citizenship, help immigrants to get certain types of visas to be able to remain here and be reunified with family. If you want to get in touch with us, use the link in the profile or the link in the description of the video to get in touch with us. We run the firm 24/7. So just go ahead and make sure that you are getting in touch with us as soon as possible because our schedules are filling up. All right, so I am seeing questions piling into the Instagram. So I'm going to go ahead and answer those questions on Instagram. So, can asylum go in without a lawyer? Yes. So, here's the deal, you can do anything without a lawyer, it's your choice. But what happens when you go without an attorney? It means you don't know the law, you don't you don't have no experience with what that's going to look like, and just by having the inexperience and not having an attorney to guide you, you could go in there and that interview you would not be able to understand the questions or understand why the officer is asking those questions or understand exactly the information that the officer needs to make a decision. And what that means is that the you may walk out of there without asylum when in fact you do qualify for it. So it's important to make sure that you, and I say this now it's more important than ever to get an attorney now, because no case is simple, and the new policies that are being put in place is adding a level of complexity. And if you get it wrong, you will regret it, because they also put in their policies that if they deny your case, even for simple mistakes, they can first of all deny it without giving you a second chance to correct those mistakes. And if they deny it, you will swiftly get a notice to appear to go to immigration court. The thing about it is, once you get a notice to appear, it's in immigration court. And even if you rush to try to refile it the right way, it means that they will not give you a chance, because it's in immigration court now. So now you have to go through the stressful process of going before an immigration judge, and it becomes a lot more less predictable when it goes before a judge. So are you required to have a lawyer? No. In any case, you're not required to have a lawyer in all case types. Is it a good idea? No, it's not. Not no. If let me come out of here. Okay. If asylum, let me see, if asylum case is still in process, married to US citizen and filed VAWA, will it work? You can file for multiple forms of relief. So if you applied for VAWA, yes, you can apply for asylum. Both can be going at the same time. I have been married 4 years now. On do I have to wait on the 10-year green card, or can I apply for naturalization? Now, if you have the 2-year green card, you do have to, they are not going to give you naturalization, citizenship, until they decide the 10-year green card. However, if you do qualify now for to apply for citizenship, but the 10-year green card application process is taking long, you can apply for naturalization and they will schedule the interview, and they will evaluate whether they are going to give it a 10-year green card. And then after that, if on the spot they decide they're going to approve it, they can then move on to your citizenship interview. um, if they decide not to make a decision on the spot on your 2-year to 10-year, they're gonna then first issue a decision and then address the naturalization. If one was slaved by their employer and they no longer work with them for a year now, can one still file for VAWA? So VAWA doesn't apply to employers, but what you may be talking about is a T visa. Absolutely. You don't have to be working for the employer anymore to qualify for T visa. This could have happened to you 30 years ago, and you would still be able to apply for the T visa. Give us a call. This is what we focus on, and it is a very complex part of the law. In no way, shape, or form should you be simplifying the T visa process. It's not simple. And that's what makes our firm good, because we have grasped the fact that it is complicated, and we have multiple individuals specialize on each areas of the T visa to be able to put the case together and present it to immigration. So give us a call. Let's talk about it. Schedule that appointment and let's talk. How much does it takes for the T visa to be approved? So it takes up to 2 years. So 22 months right now. So I would say 18 to 22 months to get a decision. No. Oh, I know the next response, right? It takes too long. Never mind. First of all, at this point, you will put yourself at an advantage just by applying for something that you qualify for in these days and times. Just by applying for something you qualify for, you're one step ahead. Does it give you immediate benefits? No. But the T visa also provides for protection. When you submit a properly filed application, then immigration is first going to decide whether they're going to give you a special letter called the bona fide determination letter, that clearly states in that letter that as of the date of that letter and for a certain time, you will not be at risk for removal. So even if you're in removal proceedings, those are stayed, meaning those will be paused pending a decision. So in some cases, if you're detained, then that bona fide determination letter can actually get you out of detention, and you'll get a work permit to go along with it. And that's a 4-year work permit right now while they're deciding the process. So you're not, while there is a waiting period, so I would say up to 8 to 10 months for the work permit, because you're getting the receipt notice, then you're getting the bona fide determination letter after a biometrics appointment, then the work permit. It allows you to get protection and a basis to qualify for, release from detention in some cases. Sometimes, if you show your receipt notice to an ICE officer, they will let you go. We have seen that happen. So, um, it's you processing times may seem long, but you should not make it stop you from applying for something Because, guys, if you don't apply for it now, it's never going to happen. And as time goes by, the risk goes higher and higher. Hi, please, I want to know what to do if after your interview and visit, no message from USIS, either deny or approve for over 6 months. That's normal. You can look at processing times if you're outside of processing times, which your processing times is very long right now. I believe the processing times is over 36 months now for a marriage-based process. If it goes over that time, you can send an inquiry in, and that might prompt them to evaluate your case, why it's taking so long, and make a decision. If you have 5-year work permit, can you apply for a green card? No, a 5-year work permit alone doesn't qualify you for the green card. However, usually what happens is while you're applying, you qualify for the green card, and while you're applying for the green card, you get a work permit through when you're applying for adjustment of status. Now, in some cases, you get like, for example, T visa, U visa, there is a 4-year work permit while you're enduring the lengthy wait. That work permit alone does not qualify you for the T visa, but having the T visa gives you a path, and having the U visa gives you a path to the green card. So it's not the work permit itself, but the benefit that you've been approved for that gives you the benefit. So, for example, if you get asylum in a year, you can apply. Asylum comes with a work permit, but when you're granted approved for asylum, that's where you are able to move on to the green card after a year. Can asylum go in without a lawyer? So, guys, protect yourselves, invest in your future, and having an experienced immigration lawyer through these processes, all processes now, is essential. Citizenship, green card, work permits, asylum. Make sure that if you want to put yourself in the best position, that you do get it. Get an attorney. If I file complaint online with ICE tip, are they going to see? Well, speak to an immigration attorney. I don't know why you're gonna file an ICE tip. Is it against someone else? What's the purpose? Are you afraid? Are you undocumented? Um, Talk to us first, and tell us, is it is it that you're looking to provide an ICE tip so that they can consider giving you a benefit for some reason, or based on something? Give us a call and talk to us about that. Are they still processing green card applications? Yes, absolutely. They're processing green cards. They're processing asylum. They're processing T visa. They're processing U visa. They're processing um, VAWAs. They are processing the green card. So there's no stop. The president cannot stop the green cards. It's statutory law. They can't stop the green cards through those processes. Can you explain to me why the adjustment of status allows me to re-enter the US on a conditional green card, regardless of a visitor visa overstay in the past? No other criminal record. Can I travel alone? I'm not sure what your situation is. And I don't want to make any assumptions here. Now, overstaying a visa alone does not make you inadmissible if you have to leave the country. So if you're now outside of the country, but you overstayed, and I don't know why you would be doing adjustment of status. So can you explain why the adjustment of status allows me to re-enter the US? All right. So there's a lot to unpack here. And guys, open your ears and take this in, because I don't want you to make mistakes along the way. If you're outside of the United States, you're not applying for adjustment of status. Adjustment of status allows you to apply for a green card while staying in the US. Now, if you have an adjustment of status application and then you just get up and leave, Say, for example, I've seen this where your visa, you came in, you didn't overstay your visa, you applied for adjustmental status, then you have to rush back, you look at your visa, everything looks valid still, so you take your visa and you leave the country. The thing about that is adjustment of status, once you apply for it, you are not allowed to leave unless you get a travel document. The travel document allows you to travel, say for a short period of time, and still be able to re-enter the US. Now, I don't know if you may be getting a visa, an immigrant visa, to come into the US on a conditional green card because you've been married to your spouse, or you're the child of a spouse of a US citizen for less than 2 years. You're a stepchild. I don't know which one you are. Now, if you in the past you overstayed, you probably, and they're letting you back in without any problems. If you overstayed under 180 days, then you're not inadmissible if you go to and if that's the only thing that happened, then you should be fine to get the immigrant visa. If so, they're not going to hold that against you in that situation. If you overstayed over 180 days, that's where there's a 3-year bar. But if you've been outside of the US for more than 3 years, that again will not stop you from coming in. So I hope that answered your question, because there's a lot to unpack there. I came with a diplomatic visa. Can I adjust my status for a green card? Yes, that is possible. There is additional forms that you have to complete in order to do that, though. How long it take an approval after the interview? So most commonly, I see a day. Other times, well, most commonly a day. Usually when things go well, or up to, and I've seen it go months and months and months as well. Hello, good evening. What's the new rule regarding citizenship if you owe the IRS? If you owe the IRS, you need to show that you're making a payment plan. So are you paying on a monthly basis or quarterly basis? Just get a letter or showing from the IRS showing that what the payments you've made and the payment plan that you have with them for citizenship. I filed for my second daughters and one son from 2020. How do I find out how far the filing reach? So if it's an I-130, you can call or you can use the status check. So if you go to uscis.gov, you'll see a case status check. I came with a diploma, so I answered that. Okay, so let's see. Any more questions? Put your questions in the comments. Is it advisable to people to apply for citizenship at this time? I would say generally, yes. Do not let it stop you from applying for the immigration benefit that you absolutely qualify for. There, now it may look daunting. The requirements may look daunting, but when you look, we are very good at compiling the documents and putting together the solid legal arguments in order to get our clients to success. And this is what it's going to take a more in order to do that, but it is totally doable. If you want to go ahead and apply for citizenship, give us a call so we can evaluate your case individually, because I can't tell you whether it's advisable for you because I don't know what your circumstances are. But everybody now is going to have to show more in order to get citizenship. So it's a little more challenging. And if you want to make sure that you get it right the first time, then you need to make sure you contact us. Let's talk about your situation and then move forward. How long it take to accept VAWA? So we're seeing receipt notices 3 to 4 months from time of filing. Because a lawyer said that I don't have a case and that I wouldn't get VAWA. So I don't know what your situation is, Laddie Love. What I would say is some lawyers have certain misconceptions about cases. We do ask the right questions to be able to determine whether your case could be strong and whether you qualify. But certain lawyers will say things like, you don't have evidence like police reports. They didn't hit you. So you don't qualify. And that's a misconception because it covers all sorts of abuses. It covers VAWA covers verbal, financial abuse, emotional abuse. Also, keep in mind that the standard of the standard of the evidence is credible, any credible evidence, so that they are a little more flexible on providing evidence as long as it does not raise issues about whether your credibility. It verifies to the officer that you're likely telling the truth. So we need to talk. I need to talk to you to find out whether that qualifies. What I say, start here. Do you qualify to apply without the relative or the spouse who's mistreating you? Have you been mistreated? Start there. And if you've been mistreated, it's time to give us a call and talk to us about your situation so we can determine whether you would qualify here. And we are still getting work permits. We're still getting green card, 10-year green card for our clients under VAWA. We are still getting work permits for our clients under VAWA. We're still getting prima facie determination letters. So it is a valuable form of relief. If you have a 5-year work permit, do you have to go to immigration? For check-ins, no, not usually. Not usually, unless there's a condition, unless you're under. So they do have where if a judge ordered you to not be deported, then ICE may say you have to do check-ins every year. So it just depends. But having the work permit doesn't in itself require you to do check-ins with immigration. I have a question. Can you win a VAWA case without any form of physical abuse, but manipulation, mistreatment, and not wanting to help you file your marriage based green card? So, Laddie Love, now I see the full context here. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, this attorney is telling you that we have won VAWA cases without a single ounce of physical abuse. It is absolutely possible. So give us a call and let's talk about your situation so we can get a move on. If I file, so I answered that. On F1 visa, I'm married to a US citizen, but we live apart for school and work reasons. But we have other strong supporting docs. Should we go ahead and file? I can't tell you specifically whether you should go ahead and file. I'm not your attorney and I haven't looked at the evidence myself. A lot of people think that they have strong evidence because of misconceptions about the marriage based process. And it turns out they may not have strong evidence. For example, I've heard people tell me, I have a really good application. I have pictures. We have a lot of pictures together and our marriage certificate. And I'm like, really? No, that's actually a red flag. Pictures and your marriage certificate, red flag. Um, so I don't know what documents you have. However, if you live apart, I'm telling you now, they're gonna have questions. You should not be. You shouldn't pretend you're living together because they may see things in public record or even on your ID to realize that you are living apart. But what you do want to do is tackle the issue and show how this arrangement is temporary until you can both live together. So it shouldn't be something that should necessarily stop you from applying for the marriage based green card, but you have to be very thoughtful about the evidence. If I have been married for years, I answered that. How long does VAWA case usually take? So the entirety of the case from filing to green card, about 3.5 years. However, what you do get are the benefits. So you are able to get the prima facie. And as I said before, you're here without your papers. Just filing your application, while it doesn't in itself give you status, filing it means that you're making a move on future relief. If you never apply, you will never get it. You have to start somewhere. But the other thing is that we have seen where receipt having shown that you do qualify for benefits can help you defend against deportation if you're detained, because the judges take it very seriously that you do qualify for something. And in many cases, upon request, the judges also want to give you an opportunity to pursue that relief. So that has led to our clients, for example, staying out of detention when they've been referred to immigration court, or being released from detention. And in some cases, keep in mind, if an ICE officer sees that, that also can keep you out of detention, because you're showing that you're in the process. So that's one. um, so the other is you do get certain benefits like your work permit at the 6 to 12 month mark into the filing. You're able to get a work permit while you wait. And then once your VAWA is approved at about the 3 year mark, you are able to get further protections and a work permit. And then they automatically process you for the green card if you've already filed an adjustment of status application. So as long as you follow all the procedural steps, it can become very beneficial and take away a lot of the stress that you may be going through, especially now. Um, but if you don't start, you will not see it. So, for example, we just recently saw a situation where an individual did a consultation with one of our attorneys at the firm. They were told they qualified, had a very good case for the T visa, and they did not make a move on it. And 2 weeks later, they're in detention. And he's in detention now. It's not easy for him to just get up and contact us. He's having family members contact us, and they're still hawing because now it's family members. They don't know, if this is the right move to make, because he's never discussed this possibility with them. And so he's at a disadvantage because he's locked up. And once I'm saying this now, they are disappearing people. They are, and when I say disappearing people, I mean they're detaining people, and they say they're in Florida. As you blink your eye, within a day, they're in a whole other state. They're in Georgia, they're in Texas. They have moved them completely away from their support system, their attorney, and while with our clients, we still pursue our clients. So if they're moving state to state, we still go ahead and find our client. A client that does not have an attorney and they are ripped out of the state that they're living in is going to be at in a very disadvantaged situation, because I describe it this way. It's like being thrown into a black hole. You go in there and get lost in the system. That you're not treated like an individual anymore. It's basically, what's the A number, right? Communication becomes very hard. While you do get a call every day, it's at first you're gone for a week or two before everything settles, and we're able to locate the client. Family members are able to locate the client because they're just moving people from state to state right now. So that's where I say having relief, and I don't want to scare people, but it's a scary time. And I'm saying this because you need to hear it, right? If I was not telling you about this, you wouldn't be informed to make a decision about how you're gonna move forward. Okay, so can hotels sponsor me for a normal position like host or bartender? Yes, through the EB3 process. So the hotel has to agree, usually management, they have to make a move to sponsor you for the EB3. But it's possible. Yeah. Can a motel owner sponsor my H-1B visa? So it may be it, yeah, but it depends. H-1B is for specialty occupations, and so it depends very much on your qualifications. And there's also a lottery that you'd have to enter. Now there's the H-2B, which is for seasonal workers, but it's not the H-1B. Once you get it up to 6 years. However, H-2B is seasonal. You do get extensions every 6 months, and sometimes can transfer from one employer to the other. And some people end up staying for 3 years doing that. But it depends on your qualifications. Please, is it true that immigration attorney are being detained by USIS if the client was denied or suspected of fraud? No, no. So that's not true. But keep in mind, if it's a scammer, if the attorney committed fraud or a scammer committed fraud, they are cracking down on those individuals as well. And what happens though is if the attorney knew about the fraud and went along with the fraud, then they are going to definitely be held accountable as well. So that's why with us it's very important for us to evaluate our clients when we're applying. We make sure that our clients, while we can't guarantee our 100% approval, nobody can. And if anybody is guaranteeing you 100% that you're going to be approved, they're a scammer. But that's why we carefully assess whether our clients qualify and move forward with it. We don't take that lightly. And we also go through a process with our clients to ensure that what they're telling us is true. So we don't, if we identify that something isn't true, of course, we cannot move forward with that case. So we cannot lie. How long it takes for you to get a green card after filing petition spouse? I'd say a year and a half right now. We are seeing, so right now we are seeing some cases go through within months. But I would say for the most part, prepare for a year to a year and a half. But those interviews are being scheduled very quickly. And my colleagues are seeing the same thing. So that's why it's so important with all applications now and petitions, you should never have this attitude. I'm gonna file this and then I'll just send stuff later and file this and then I'll get the evidence later because there may not be a later. And they may not call you for an interview. They may straight up deny you and because you didn't do it properly the first time. How long does VAWA case, I answered that. A VAWA case, I explained that earlier. For a person born on Panama Canal Zone 1964, is American citizen or not? I would have to look that up. On an F1 visa, married to a US citizen. Okay, so I answered that. All right. So now I'm going on to, can you travel in the States with your passport and receipt of I-130? No, no, the I-130. And I think that's where a lot of people, I see a lot of questions on Facebook and YouTube. I'm coming to you now. But that's a misconception. And right now, you have to be very careful. If you're here in the US, you want to file an I-130, you need to make sure that you qualify for adjustment of status, or else you are high risk to be referred to immigration court for removal proceedings. So another reason you should always get your case evaluated to make sure that you can actually file, because filing, while having an adjustment of status gives you temporary protection, a lot of people file the I-130. They either don't know the procedural requirements, so they file I-130 without an adjustment of status, and that gets them into trouble, or they file an I-130, they don't qualify for adjustment of status, or they file the I-130 a loan for one reason or the other. So you need to get that evaluated. All right. You are very welcome. What is the processing time of BFD, EAD for T visa? And what is the processing time for to renew BFD, EAD for U visa? 4 years for an EAD for the U visa. So you would want to renew at 3.5 years. For the T visa, I would say right now 8 to 10 months after filing. So there's that. Now, keep in mind, guys, that this is general information. It's not personalized legal advice. So you should never. I've noticed that some people will be on here and say, "How long is the processing time?" And I'm like, "A year," and they'll be like, "But I'm at 18 months now." Well, that's because I don't control the USCIS and their processing times. I would love to have it down to a science, but I am based. These are estimates based on my own experience. So keep that in mind that this is general information. It's not information that you're going to jump up and start submitting case inquiries because I said so. My wife petitioned an I-130 for me. About 15 months later, they responded with an RFE, asked for some missing documents. We responded and they updated our portal, acknowledging receiving our response. So how long do we wait for a decision after responding to RFE? It just depends. It depends on the office that's evaluating it. It depends on the complexity of the RFE. I've seen anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 months later. And that's right, Peter. So God is good. God, just put God first in everything and it will work out for the best. Absolutely. What we do here at this law firm is we do walk on faith. We do the work, of course, because God definitely wants us to do the work. God helps those who helps themselves. So we don't sit idly by and just also hope. We use that hope to drive us to do the work, to rise to the challenge. So that's what you have to do. Are you allowed to work without work permit? What are the consequences? So that is a good question, and it depends on what you're applying for. So, for example, the T visa, they do not penalize you for working without a permit. So, with the U visa for VAWA, also immediate relatives of U.S. citizens, they don't hold that against you. Asylum is also one where they don't hold it against you as well. It is not legal, but it is not something that they're going to turn around and say, you worked without a permit, we're denying you. I had my I-751 and N-400 interview on Tuesday. I passed my interview. I'm waiting for a letter in the mail to see when I'm going to swearing in. Oh, that's great. Congratulations. I'm on an F1 visa, married to a US citizen, but we live apart for studies and work reasons. I think I answered this already. You have to tackle that head on. You don't want them to bring it up before. I mean, if they don't ask, but it's clear, it's information that they may be able to see, but they don't ask, that's fine. But if they ask, you definitely don't want to pretend as if you're living together because they're asking for a reason, and you tackle it, right? You address it in some way so that the officer understands that this is just normal. Spouses do live apart sometimes when they have to. Um, let's see. Okay, so yes, you have a payment plan. Just make sure you have that ready. So for citizenship, if you taxes is a big deal. If you're a delinquent in taxes, you're not resolving it, that can now lead to a denial. So you want to make sure that you get evidence of your payment plan and that you're paying it. How long does it take for an approval after the interview? So 4 weeks to 4 months, sometimes maybe even longer, depending if they're doing extra checks. As green card holder, need visa for Canada? No. For certain, always check with Canada. I'm not a Canadian immigration attorney, but I've had clients who travel and they don't need a visa and they just have to travel. Of course, it can't be permanent. They can't be having a long-term intentions, but they can travel for a certain amount of time without a visa. You're welcome, Natalie. Can ICE detain a T visa process or BFD holder? Take into consideration the person has a criminal background. So I would say that is still a possibility. They can always revoke the BFD, so that is something that is a possibility. If that criminal record comes up after the BFD, they can always revoke and then detain as a result of the criminal record. It just depends. Did you get the BFD before the criminal record? Are they fully aware of it before issuing the BFD? So yeah, but ultimately, do you qualify for the T visa? If once your T visa is approved, you would still be out of you'd be able to still get your T visa and your work permit. So it just depends on your situation, and this is where it's very important to. Okay, for a person, taking into consideration the person has no criminal background. So with a BFD, no criminal background, now here's what I say. It the detention can always be possible. They do have the power to revoke for any reason that they deem fit. However, your risk of that happening is much lower if you have no criminal record. If you've had a previous deportation record, that may also be an issue for the BFD. Did the biometrics in November. When will the BFD come for the U visa? So I've seen those in a year and a half. Hi there, Karen. It's nice to see you on Facebook. Do you do anything for students without student visa? So yeah, so we evaluate everybody's case, whether you're here with your papers, you're here not, you overstayed your visa, you came without inspection, give us a call and we ask the questions to evaluate whether we look at a broad range of options to determine whether one applies to you that you'd be able to get relief. So it's not that there is nothing, no specific relief for students without a student visa, but we ask the question to see if there is something that applies to you as an individual. So give us a call and that's where it's going to start. You first have to do an evaluation. I can't understate or overstate enough how important it is to do that initial evaluation, because here at ST Law Office, we ask questions that typically other attorneys don't ask. And because of that, where other attorneys have said no because they never looked into those circumstances, we have been able to get our clients to a yes. And we have, and that is the story you will hear my clients say repeatedly. They say repeatedly, I went to other lawyers, they told me I didn't have a chance, and I went to attorney Sharifa and she listened to me. I hear that consistently. They listened to me and they found a solution. So that's where I say get in touch with us as soon as possible so we can find a plan for you, especially before it's too late. Because the longer you do wait, is the longer the risk goes up. They're becoming a lot more aggressive with immigration enforcement, and they are expanding facilities. And once you go into that system, it's not to say you don't have a chance, because we are still fighting in that system to defend our clients, but it is very difficult. And just living in those conditions, nobody wants to be away from their family living in those conditions. So we first try to get a solution that one can apply for before something happens that can strengthen their defense in the future. What if I work in my name? Will that make me not qualify to get a green card? It depends. So this is where you need to definitely talk to us about what your situation is so we can determine whether you qualify and how that could affect you. Would immigration courts ask you to come to court even if you are legal with a work permit? If you're legal, what do you have? Because a work permit gives you temporary protection and relief, ability to work while you're here, but it's not legal status. So if you're legal, I don't know what that means. But if you're here without your papers, like you overstayed your visa, technically you don't have a status. And if you get a notice to appear, you need to go to that court hearing. So you can have a work permit and still be called to the court, but we need to understand what exactly is going on in your situation to be able to advise. Is it normal to wait 8 months after biometrics for your permit? I would say it's not out of the ordinary. Yeah, so if your student visa is expired, we don't renew your student visa. However, we do look at other options. So they may have, so what they do is they ask you questions on the intake form. If you're looking for another student visa, that's another thing. If you are looking at a broad range of options, you need to definitely call us back. Let them know that you want to find out what your options are. But if you're very specific and said, I just want another visa, we don't want to waste your time and money, and we do not get people student visas, not right now. We're focusing on helping people who are already here, who needs assistance to be able to get their residence and get relief here on a longer term basis. All right. I That's gonna be it for me today. Thanks again, everybody, for your time. I am traveling, as you can see. You see the hotel room behind me, so I'm traveling. I'm gonna try to make it on, but if I don't make it on tomorrow, I'll definitely see you on Monday. Thanks again, everybody, for all your questions. These were great questions, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you on Monday, likely. Keep in mind that the team, while this is general information, the team is here to help you. Give us a call and let's start there with an evaluation. That's where the real action is going to take place. Because if you don't take action, that's where the risk goes up. So I'm looking forward to, and the attorneys here at SC Law Office are looking forward to talking to you. Thanks again, everybody. Have a good night. Bye bye.